Hello.
There we go.
Hi, Consolee.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you so much for saying yes and for, allowing us to share your story here on Best Friend Community Conversations. We have an audience from all over the world. So, yes, get ready to receive all the love from different countries and, different continents. So it's always a joy to be here, to be part of this community.
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
I'm so happy to be here, really. It's truly a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Consolee, the way we format it is we generally ask you questions like, just to kind of get to know you, for the community to get to know you for about 30 minutes. And then for the last 15, we'll ask audience questions. If the audience has any questions, we'll allow them to ask you anything that we may not have asked you during that segment. All right?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm nervous.
Oh, nervous. Come on.
No. This community is very welcoming, and they always show support. You'll be fine.
You're loved.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Should I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, Consolee, I've known you now for 6 years. I met you the first time I came here to this state. It's almost 6 years, and you've become my soul sister and my mentor, I would say. And one of the things I noticed about you the first time we met is your endless joy, despite all the hardship you've been through.
That's so sweet of you.
You still have this smile on your face. You're always trying to make people feel good about themselves, and it's just like how do you keep that? What's the source of your happiness, and how did you become the person you are today?
Thank you so much for your kind words. You are the same, actually. Everybody, I'm sure they have realized how joyful you are. So I'm truly blessed to have you in my life. Really, you are like my young sister. It's really, I love you so much. Thank you. And I'm truly happy to be here, to meet everyone. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Really means a lot. And I'm truly grateful, to be alive. Every time I get up in the morning, I'm really grateful. And I don't take life for granted anymore because of what I've been through at the young age. So, and for me, I just made a conscious decision to wake up every day, just being grateful and just be happy. And I'm sure it's very hard for some people to be happy. I truly understand that. Yeah. And for me, I just, thankfully that I found, something in me that keeps me telling me that I need to be I should never give up. I should enjoy every little thing in life, every small thing in life. I try myself to never really allow myself to, to never, allow negative things in my head a lot. So of course I can be sad, but as you know me, I try to be, to enjoy small things and be grateful. I think maybe that's the reason why I find the joy every day in my life. And then just, and whoever I meet and people, I try to surround myself with positive people like you are, all of you, both of you. And they uplift me. So they give me, something to be grateful for. Just, life is worth living despite, what I've endured in my life. So, and that's what I really wish for everybody. Just wake up and just find something small to be grateful for, and then you find the joy.
And there's strength in that. In going forward, going through what you have, surviving genocide, what gives you the strength? Because you just talked about what makes you happy and what you do to sustain that happiness, but taking that next step and actually sharing your story, whether it's writing a book or giving talks all around the country. What gives you that strength to share your story, and why do you feel so compelled to do so?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. So in the early times when I began telling my story, like, many people know when you tell the story of the genocide, it's not very easy. It took me a long time to get to a point where I felt really comfortable, even courageous to be able to tell what I've been through. Mm-hmm. But when I had the courage to do it, I realized even though it was hard, so of course I had to open the door for that, allow myself to be vulnerable. And I didn't know how I was going to feel, but then I realized, wow, it was a load lifted off my shoulders. So, right. And then I realized how, people can live in it, with their pain and their suffering within themselves, how it can damage you. So, and I realized that it was important for me to, tell the story so that somebody else is, what they have been through or what they go through in their daily life, they can learn from maybe how I coped and how I'm able to, to accept, even though it's very hard, what I've been through, but at the same time, I'm not giving up on life. So I'm trying my best I could to live, for the rest of my life, I'm trying my best to live a better life I could. So for myself. So, and I wish, and for me, I didn't want to just to keep that story for myself. And I wanted everybody else to learn from, my personal experience. And I'm sure everybody else is really, we can learn from each other. And I know telling story always, when you hear somebody's story, you learn something. So, and I realized using my story also will be also a path to help somebody else, like the same way I learned from other people. So it was a healing journey at the same time for myself, and also I know probably could have been, healing, helpful for somebody else. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Consolee. So, Consolee, what was the hardest experience that took you a long time to recover from, and why?
Oh, thank you for asking that. In my story, there are so many painful things I've been through at the young age. And that's the reason why it actually took me a long time to even be able to share the story. But the hardest thing in my story is sexual violence I've faced during the genocide. And for me, that was the hardest thing to even talk about. And many people know that when you've been sexually abused or even raped and all that, so it's a pain that you cannot find the words to express how you feel. So for me, it took me a lot of energy to be able to talk about that. And it was really hard. But I'm so grateful that I had the courage to do that, because it opened the door for my healing journey. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that it was going to open doors for your healing journey, or you were terrified that...
I was horrified. I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to leave afterwards. But of course, I had to trust, just open the door of trusting, even though I didn't know the outcome. And of course, that's really being vulnerable. That's vulnerability again. So even though you don't know the outcome, but you just open the door for that to see. And I didn't know, but at the same time, I trusted the process and say, let me see what happens. So, and I know that there are so many people who live with this pain for the rest of their lives. It affects them, throughout their lives. And some people don't even understand why they are painful, because they don't know how to express that pain they carry within themselves. So, and when I did it, it was painful, of course, to going through that journey of talking about it. But at the same time, I started feeling relieved, and of course the shame of because I live with the consequences because of what happened to me, even saying that I live with HIV, which is something also hard, the stigma attached to it, the stigma of being raped, also a stigma of, carrying HIV, living with HIV. Also, it was going to be a burden for me. Also, I thought about it. So, and it was very tough, but at the same, I was still young. I'm not even old yet.
I know. Yeah.
Imagine a young person to allow herself to be seen like that. Yeah. It's not very easy because you face a lot in the society that is still, looking at a person living with HIV differently. So, and there are, of course, there are so many changes throughout the years, but there's still a long way to go because people living with HIV in many places around the world, they still suffer with the stigma. So, because of how they are treated with their families and it can be really another traumatic also experience to live with. So, and of course I had to think about that too. How am I going to face all those challenges after I tell my story? So, and of course I had to keep telling myself that I'm going to be a voice and somebody else, because I need to be part of also changing the society. The mindset, how you look at a person who live with HIV. So look at us, the same way like we are, like anybody else. So
Has the perception changed, or the stigma, has it gotten a little bit better? Since you were diagnosed, do you find that people treat you a little bit? When they find out, are they more accepting of you? Are they still sort of like kind of standoffish, like I don't know what to make of you? Like how has it improved, or how has it changed?
I think there's a lot of change compared to how it was before. In the early times, I could tell how somebody would treat me if they know my status. So, but it's now different. The stigma has changed in a different way. So, and I'll give an example. For instance, when it comes to for instance, like dating, right? Maybe somebody now may, there are so many things changes. For instance, if it's great, hugging you or just the normal things, like sharing meals and all those things have changed. But of course, in many parts of the world, people still think they cannot even sit next to you, or there's some things really like that are still happening in many other places. But in a modern society, sometimes the stigma is different now. So for instance, dating, you could hear somebody, I've heard some stories where even somebody will say, if somebody will say, I wanted to know Consolee, that's an example. I want to know her, maybe get to know her. And so immediately somebody in our community, let me say in our communities where we come from. And they start talking amongst themselves. Oh, do you know, she's HIV. Oh my God, just as if I'm like, somebody who's not like, they make it look like it's terrifying, just don't even think about it. Be far away from her. So I've heard those stories a lot, among people, even people you think they're educated, and people you think that they know better, but because they just feel like, they feel like there are certain things they can share with you, but when it comes to that, they think, oh, no, you are not deserving to be with somebody. And it's also part of education. They don't even know. You learn because somebody who lives with HIV can live with somebody who is HIV negative. So it's a lot of education people need to get, to learn.
Absolutely. I don't think because of the stigma that was around in 80s and 90s and 2000s, some people are still stuck in those mentality. and there's no enough information, there's no enough education about where what the medication does and how a person so it's like what can we do as a society to teach our children, to teach each other, hey, this is, it's like if you have a cold, then, or a cancer, like cancer literally it kills more people than HIV does now. And it's more of like knowing where the status of the medication, where it is, how can you treat other people with respect and love, and getting more informed, and opening your ears to listen and
people, and you can have so many now, you can, people living with HIV can have kids, it's just being educated about it and just treating them like anyone else. So we continue to live our lives as long as you are taking your medication and you are healthy and you are and you can live as long as like anybody else. So
I know.
I don't think if I walk on the street with somebody who is HIV negative, somebody will even know that I live with HIV.
No.
Nobody. Thankfully, even though the society somehow, I know, understand that there's still a long way to go learning. And for me, I had to be part of it too. Part of educating people. Instead of being mad at people, I have to, if somebody, I had a conversation recently with somebody who wanted to learn about it, who didn't even have any idea about, about this illness. I said, don't worry. He was worried to ask me questions. But I said, just don't worry. Ask me anything you want to know. I will educate you. I understand if everybody don't understand what it is, HIV, living with HIV. So, and he really learned a lot. He said, I didn't know that. I didn't know all those things you just told me. So I think also we all of us too, which I know I should be part of also educating people, making people understand that it's, life continues, and also to help us also in our healing journey too. So because, when you hear, some people don't know how to take the stigma. Some people commit suicide and it can affect their mental health. So, and so a lot of people are really suffering, because of what they hear. The power of words too, so it's important. So words can kill or even heal. So
I was about to say the same thing. Is that the words, especially with someone who's going through that, that could really, dictate the path that they go on, whether it's positive or negative.
And I feel like that's why I like to talk about it, and also it has helped me to heal. I feel good. And I don't even walk around thinking I live with HIV anymore. Even if somebody would say something negative, I feel like I need to educate that person. And I because for me, I already accepted it. I know I feel great. I don't even see myself like that anymore. So I changed my mindset, the way I look at myself. So of course, and I'm sure somebody else will feel the same way, because that's what I do. I know that I should be the first person to treat myself better. Nobody else, it's not somebody else's job to treat me well. It should be my job first to treat myself with love and care. And and of course somebody else can do that, but for me, it's my job to really take care of myself, look at myself with, just know that I matter living here, like anybody else. So, and I change the way I look at myself. So I change the way I look at myself. Yeah.
And that, I'm sure that ties into to self-expression, right? It's a huge part of you, huge part of your personality. And the sooner you take ownership over it, the sooner you find strength in that. I'm sure that it just lends itself to creating better paths in your life.
Yeah, definitely. It helps you to really enjoy life, to want to do more things in life, to want to know that you're part of the society and you need to to contribute to the well-being of every person who comes around you. So, and I think it's really, it kind of like uplifts you and also energizes you to want to be better, to do better.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm grateful to be alive, really. And I know if we are here talking, I know there are people who are suffering. Yeah. And I think it's important what you're doing. So for us to reach out to anybody, wherever, I'm sure there will be someone here who is suffering from something maybe similar to what I've been through, or it could be a different pain, but they are going through, they are suffering, but they don't know how to approach that pain. So it's important also what you're doing so that we can encourage these people to never give up. They probably don't know how to love themselves. Like I was saying, like how take care of myself. They don't know probably how to take care of themselves.
Right.
And it's important to encourage these people to never give up. Reach out to somebody, who can help you in that journey. So, and for me, that's why I really reach out to people that I know they can uplift me. They can help me in that journey. So, and I didn't even do this on my own. I learned from so many different people. So, and of course, the people who pull me down, I had to just ignore them and just follow the people who are who are positive, the people who encourage me, who uplift me. So, and I think it's important for anybody who is suffering from some, the pain they are carrying within themselves, find that person. It's important to really reach out. So at least that person can lead you to the right way to heal, to start your healing journey.
Right.
Absolutely. Was when the Me Too movement was going around, how did you feel? And just seeing how much a lot of young women, young men have been going through sexual harassment, sexual violence, and what's for you, because you were very young, you were 14 years old, and now seeing it in the Me Too movement, how did the Me Too movement make you feel?
It was very painful, but at the same time to see how a lot of women, they are coming forward for their story, collectively. So to me, that was a way of it's like together, people coming together from all walks of life to tell a painful experience they go through, because all women around the world go through same thing. So, and sexual violence happen, or even sexual harassment, and happen everywhere around the world. So every woman can tell you a story. They, what, and for me to see that women are coming forward and supporting each other, encouraging each other, it was really, to me, I was so happy to see that, because I realized that it was a time for women to come together. And thankfully for social media, even, internet, which allowed women all over the world to come together, to just tell a story together. It's like comforting each other, holding each other's hands, even though you may not necessarily meet in person, but you hold each other's hands and say, we are in this together. We are not allowing to, suffering, even these people, to continue again. We are going to tell our story. We are not going to allow anybody to say, to stop us not telling our story. So
right.
yeah, and for me, I was so happy that women can come forward, and also with men who are supportive. A lot of men, supported, and I'm really grateful, and to see that, and Me Too movement really has changed a lot of things. To me, I think it really has changed, really, and I'm glad it came. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I've seen a lot of stories, even in Rwanda, women have spoken out about their personal experience, and we come in the culture where we don't necessarily talk about things like that. So, and to see some women talking, it was really, it showed me that if we all come together, we can definitely change a lot of things. So,
yeah. And it's also good that you can create the safe space to speak about it, because it happens to countless people. And there's a stigma within that as well of not wanting to speak out because you may be putting yourself in harm's way or whatever the reason. But in my observation, as limited as it is, I guess, just seeing people feel more empowered to share their stories and to be embraced by people, knowing they're not going to be judged or ridiculed.
I know. Yeah, I think, it's from my observation too, it helped not just for women, also for young men who've been through the same, seeing that women are coming together to support each other. Then it kind of gives them, okay, maybe my story, I'm not alone, and some men started, also sharing their stories, which also is stigmatized. But at least when starting that conversation, it can help reduce the perpetration of it, like a perpetrators, like knowing that, hey, it's not okay. At least
even in the society where you're right, especially for young men, or it can be very, very hard to talk about it. So and for that, it really helped, to encourage each other, to support each other. And also, you're right, for those who commit those heinous crimes, the perpetrators, to never feel they can walk around freely, because there's always a stigma is victim blaming. Most of the time, a victim is blamed what happened. They always find ways to say, the reason why that happened. So, and it can really pain the survivor, really, who's been through that. So, and I'm glad speaking out, using our voices and fighting all those painful, heavy and bad, way of treating survivors. And I think it's important. Collectively, it's helping. Of course, there's still a long way, but it's really helping a lot. I'm sure there will be laws also out there supporting survivors. If you come forward whenever you choose to come forward, because sometimes as a survivor, they will say, why did you come forward late in your life? Like if you go to the judge and you decided to go to to seek justice. Sometimes they will say that I forgot the term they use in English, the statute of limitation. The time you waited. So, and I'm sure hopefully one day this will end. Hopefully that whenever you choose to go to seek justice, you will be able to get your justice. So
Absolutely.
Let's see. I'm going to use this moment to see if there's any audience questions or anything that anybody may have said. But in the meantime, though,
I was going to ask her one thing. In the meantime, so Consolee, despite everything you've been through, do you believe in hope? And if you do, what does that mean to you? What does hope look like for you? And also, do you have hope for humanity as a whole?
Oh, that's a very good question. So, despite all the things I see happening in the world, or even what I've seen myself in my life, um, I feel like hope really, you should never give up on hope. Hope for me is important to me. I feel like there's always something I like to always tell people. Maybe I should share that with with the people who are here. It's my mantra that I live with. It's called, no matter what horrible circumstances you may face in your life, never lose hope. For losing hope is the beginning of your own self-defeat. So that's my mantra about hope.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to never give up on hope. So because yeah, so I think maybe I can sum it up in that quote. If you want me, I can just post it. Yeah. So that's what I feel like about hope for me. So yeah.
That speaks volume. The losing hope is your own self-defeat.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true, because when you have hope, there's nothing that can shake you, because you you are positive. You know what you want, and it's strength itself.
Oh yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to ask something, and I know you spoke a little bit about it before, but when giving talks or speeches in front of a load of people, do you ever consider, how am I supposed to word this? Like, I lost my train of thought. No, I got it. Do you ever consider, is it like you getting things off of your chest, versus you talking to help people? Like what's that ratio, and how often do you think about that? If that makes sense.
That's a really good question. So
I try.
That's really good. Yeah. So of course, I remember the first time I decided to share my story. It has changed a lot every time I meet people, or even I'm in the audience sharing my story.
Yeah.
Because for me, I wanted to if I share something, I wanted to be able to connect, of course, with the audience in a way that I feel like we are all feeling the same, heart to heart. Energy, I feel the energy in the audience for me. And I want to be able to feel that not only talking, just to talk about the experience. So I just want all of us together to feel, all of us together, not only for not me telling them the story. I just want to be able to connect, in a way that I feel like we are all learning together from that experience. Even though it's my story, I feel like together we can all learn from each other and be able to heal together. So, to start, I don't know, it's, empowering each other, because I feel like even though it's my story, at the same time, I feel like you can also learn something from your own story as well, how to improve yourself from your own experience.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I'm sure, like, even if you told the same story over and over again, but if somebody reacts to it a particular way that makes you think, like, oh yeah, I never even thought of what I'm saying, or how that can affect somebody, that adds a different layer to your own understanding of it.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel I really learned a lot speaking to different people. And I also feel like talking about it also, it has helped me to discover more about myself, and also, learning the people I am with, and knowing that, and I feel good when it really somebody, because I don't want to just tell them, I just want them to also learn in something and be able to use it in their own lives. So together, along with me also too. So
do you when you share your story, when people don't know your story and then they find out about your story, Do you find them to treat you differently?
I'm sure the first time they see me, they don't even, of course, the first thing they tell me as soon as I share my story, they, because the first time they saw me, it's different. They couldn't believe that I carry that story within myself, right? So it's different because of how I am. You wouldn't even believe that I have that story. So, and I think probably it's good also to take care of yourself whenever you meet people. So I think it empowers them that even though you have the painful story, but life goes on. You can be able to heal from that experience and live a different life now. So, and just be able to love life. So, and for me, it's not about telling them a painful story. It's about also to tell them life goes on. I can live a positive life despite all the things I've endured. So, of course, there's a reaction. And there's a reaction, but it's always positive. So to me, I feel like it's always positive because of the way I approached, I approached it. So I'm sure if probably I was the person who never, took the time to work on myself and heal, probably the reaction would have been different also. So, and most of the time the reaction is positive because I feel like people approach me more, and I've shared people have shared so many stories with me, and if somebody can open up to you, that means there's something you've done to yourself. There's the work you've done for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because people can feel, they can sense if you are able to listen. So if you and for me, I know that if somebody has given me the time to listen to me and work on myself and did the work to, like Kiana said, do the work. So I feel like it's important also to listen to somebody else. But you cannot, if you are not, healed within yourself, I don't think you are able to listen. Listening is a skill. It takes a lot of courage too. So, and especially the heavy things. If somebody wants to share the heavy, painful experience, in their lives, and they need a compassionate ear, not somebody who just. Because they need somebody who's present, who is compassionate, who has that, that presence makes them feel safe and comfortable to share what they feel. So I learned that too through that journey. I learned that I'm still learning, but I learned that through my journey that I needed to be present. If somebody was present for me, I need to keep working on myself so that I can be present for others too. Hi, Light.
Oh, by the way, Light walked in, says hi. But I wanted to add something. Consolee, I wanted to add something as well. And I tell Dean this sometimes, maybe not as much as I should, but there is something that when you're able to share these stories, when you're able to share parts of yourself that are very, very close to you, and things that regular people, I guess, wouldn't share in their day-to-day life, people flock to that. You become like a beacon of light and maybe hope. And that, I think people yearn for that a true human connection to experience the human experience, and in a way that is uplifting and very true to yourself, very true to who we all are as humans. The both of you, but Consolee will focus on you for now. You do this thing where you're able to just have people gravitate toward you because of your openness and your willingness to tell those stories. So I think there's definitely something to be said for the strength that you show. It's something that I think we all need to do better.
You know what's funny about Consolee? when we met, I was young and naive, I guess, and I was sharing my story with her. I was listening to her story, and then she asked me about my story, and she was looking at me like, "Oh my God, Dean, that's a horrible life." And I'm like, "Consolee, no, your life is way horrible than mine." So that's a great ear, compassionate ear that she has, and I'm grateful that we've met.
Yeah, we spent We spent 2 hours in the lobby of Hilton Hotel in Manhattan where we met the first time. She was supposed to go somewhere, and then we spent more than the whole night. It was just we were sitting in the lobby for the whole night, just talking. I just wanted to hear her. I just wanted to listen to her. It was.
I know.
Because y'all are soul sisters.
Yes, soul sisters.
It needed to happen.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
And instantly we connected, and we've been like talking hours. I know, I know you know that. So we've been talking hours. Every time we are on the phone, of course, we have a lot to talk about. So she's truly an inspiration. Even though I'm way older than her, but I learned a lot from her.
I learned so much from you. Yeah. Well, everyone, this is Consolee's book.
Before we let you all go,
we have to go.
This is Tested to the Limit.
Yes.
By Consolee.
On Amazon. It's an incredible story.
Mm-hmm.
You learn about her family, her struggles, and her healing journey. And it's really an empowering story for anyone to, if you read it, I'm sure it will leave you changed. Yes, you will.
Yeah.
And we thank you so much, Consolee, for taking your time and be with us today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm really happy to join you this Sunday. It's truly a joy for me to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for matching with me.
Oh, yeah.
This was pre-planned, everybody. If you all had issues seeing our eyeballs, this is Consolee's idea. We all wanted to match today.
I know.
Once again, Consolee, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure the Base Range community also mirrors those sentiments.
I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody who's been here. Some of my friends, Eve, Light, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate everyone. And it's truly, it was really joyful to talk to you. You are truly, incredible. I admire you and all the work you do. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Consolee.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Base Range community, for being with us.
Thank you. Bye. Have a wonderful Sunday.